Hey guys, just banged my mic. Hopefully that didn't pick up. Hey guys, just wanted to do a video, and maybe put out some more regular videos on my commander builds. And for a while now, I've been trying to build single colored commanders. And well, I know color is not color, but do the 5 and 1 colorless deck and just monocolor. Just kind of see. Just get a feel for what are good cards in those color ranges. Now, certainly, there's different ways you can go with the colors, and each, like blue is strong. There's tons of strong blue cards, and not all of them are in this deck. Same with the black and red, and vice versa. But for a while there, like white was the one that I was kind of squandering over. I had Elish Norn in that spot before. It was my mono white deck. And then Heliod came around and I said, geez, this is just too good and too powerful. So he's in my white spot, and I'll do deck tech on him. But I wanted to talk about Commander in general and why I like Commander so much. Commander is a great format because you pretty much have the entire library of Magic to build decks. So you can go any combination of colors and build yourself a crazy synergistic fun type of deck. So I wanted to start, like, roll it back, because I've been playing Commander for a long time, and I wanted to start with like understanding the colors and what they do. And I wanted to build monocolor decks, so that's what led me to this. And I'm here to say, hey, I picked my monocolors and I want to go over them. I think I did a video on this one and posted it already. Also Kozilek. And then these others. I may have talked about Savala before, but I'll do that one again. I'll do Brawl next, maybe Shire, and I'll end off with Heliod. But anyways, Commander's about having fun with your playgroup, whether it's competitive or casual, whatever. Building your decks and having the access to the entire library to have fun. And that is something that's really appealing to me. Now, let's talk about power levels. You can look in so many ways, or so many places to talk about or to find resources and what people think power levels are. I think, what channel is it? The Command Zone, they do their version of power levels. And if you guys don't, if you play Commander and you're not tuned into what they're talking about, then you're doing yourself a disservice. You should tune in and listen to what those guys have to say, because they do a great job of it, and they really have their fingers on the pulse of things. However, that being said, I do disagree with them somewhat, and the one thing I disagree with is their power level scale. I think doing a scale from 1 to 10 is too broad of a brushstroke. There's too many variances. I think the power levels need to be assessed a little more simply. If I were going to put a number scale to it, I'd do like a power level 1 to 5. This being maybe, let's say, a 3.5, 4-ish, to a 4 to 5, 4 to 5. This one could be up there, but I don't think it is. Same with these two. I think a power scale of 1 to 5 is better. It leaves less room for variances and people arguing over what CEDH is and what's not CEDH. At 1 to 5 power level, I would imagine CEDH levels are between 4 and 5. But more importantly, and I think the guys did talk about this, the best way to tell whether your deck is really a CEDH deck is to look at its mana cost, its curve cost. This deck will be skewed because of the cost of the general. I think there's a couple other cards that are largely costed, but this comes out very quickly. This one's CMC cost is like 2 maybe. And that's, I think, what defines a CEDH deck. If your curve, your CMC costs are anywhere between 1 and 2.5, I think you have yourself a competitive deck on your hands. The Brawl is built to be able to interact from turn 0 to turn 4 and control the game. Very annoying, by the way. Whereas Shire is more of a you know, She-Ra does interact early because it's got a lot of small creature drops, but really doesn't start rolling until after 5 mana, because that's how much he costs, and then you can start looping things. So this is a slower style deck. I would say if you're playing a multiplayer deck and you want to play something a little more competitively, he's good. Hiliad is low meta curve. Savala, the numbers on this deck is high because there's a lot of big cost creatures in here, but that's fine. This one can roll out really quickly as well, and Torbram is low as well. But to my point, CEDH deck is going to really be active between turn 0 to turn 3, and by turn 4 they're in positions to win. I think that's what defines a CEDH deck. So when you're at the table, you know, discussing power levels, the problem with power levels is, you know, it could be skewed. You're using a scale 1 to 10. I'm using scales from 1 to 5. You know, there's no defined scale format out there, so you can peg your deck into a slot. It should be based on CMC, and when you're interacting in your mana curve. So this deck is playing a lot between 0 and 4. This one's playing between turns 2 to 6, I would say, right? So there's a unique difference there. Right, this makes this way more competitive than this deck, I would imagine. And here's the thing: any one of these decks could be played at any given time, and any one of these decks could win. So just because you're playing a CEDH deck against something a little more multiplayer friendly, doesn't mean it's going to always win. This could certainly turn a win out, for sure. Anyways, so when you're sitting down, you should be talking about how fast are you interacting, how fast you're putting yourself in a position to win, and that will identify a lot easier whether or not your decks you're facing are CEDH or not. To me, it doesn't matter. Just shuffle up and play, and if you win, you win. We move on. I built some of these decks like this one. I call my laser deck. So if someone's playing who's maybe playing a CEDH deck, or is trying to combo off really quickly and win, and he's really suppressing the table, then I'll play this and just charge it up and point it at that player, because losing 4 permanents is crazy. And I've been able to Kozilek on turn 3, attack with the Kozilek, or turn 4, which is very quick, and annihilating 4 permanents after 4 turns is not the best of days for anyone on the receiving end of that. So and this one it was built as a commander partners. I played partners in a competitive league for a while, and built this so they can partner up with anybody. And he just basically is just nope, bounce, denying, between turn 0 to 4. And then there's a bit of a win con in here as well. I should do this deck next, so I think I'll do a deck tech on Brawl and really get into the nitty gritty. This is about value, attacking with developing board state, attacking with some big creatures, gaining life, and ultimately winning with a Triskelion or a Walking Ballista, right? And if you don't know that combo, I'll go over it when I do this deck. And then this one's about turning creatures sideways. This is about red damage and racing your life total. And She-Ra is about really tricks and interaction, like with creatures coming in and out of play. Basically, you're getting your one-powered creatures to recycle themselves every turn. If you get a sack outlet with him, you can protect him. Every turn, you can sack a creature. It leaves the battlefield, does something, or comes into play, ETBs, and does something. Excuse me, She-Ra is a fun little deck. So, anyways, that's that. I thought I'd kind of share that. I'd like to do this that way I can move away from these decks eventually and just break them down and turn them into other, like maybe some multicolor decks. Because you know what? Let's be honest. Commander is requires resources, and it's not always the easiest to get resources to build these decks. You start spreading yourself thin, and there's no way you can build. Like, I'm running proxies right now in Heliod because some of the artifacts I have that I need are in this deck, like a scroll rack. I'm not going to go and buy another scroll rack just to put into this deck. And this is why I am in favor of proxies, because you know what, at your local table, if you're playing and you want to test something, play a proxy. If you ever play me, your whole deck could be proxies for all I care. Learn to play, you know, and if it's a deck that you're going to keep forever, then I would suggest moving it away from proxies and getting the real stuff. But if you're testing it and developing it, you know, I say a reasonable amount would be 12 months to sort out a deck, you know, and then if you're good with it, build it for real, and then adjust as you go along. But for me, I always want to build new decks. So anyways, I'm going to move away from these eventually, so they'll be broken down sooner than later. If I were to keep one, this is a tough call. Savala I love green, but Torbram, been having so much fun with him, and this is a reasonably cheap build. I don't know if you saw it. There were only a few cards that really put it up, but it's not that expensive to build, and Torbram's so efficient. So efficient. There's a number of different ways you can build him too. Anyways, so that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Come back and check out my other videos. If there's any suggestions you'd like to make, or if you see something you want to talk about, let me know. Maybe I'll cover it. So hope you guys enjoyed that, and we'll talk to you guys soon. And don't mind my kids in the background if you heard them. They're just hanging out. Anyways, guys, talk to you soon. Ciao.